Hi, I'm Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel, Your Local Farmer. A few weeks ago, I took the time to record a video tour of my family's farm, and I'd like to share that with you today. Our farm is known as Busy Farms, and we're located in Brush Prairie, Washington. We're a direct market farm, meaning that we sell fresh fruit and produce directly to the public. And we also operate a highly successful and popular pumpkin patch. So without further ado, I'm going to climb into our utility vehicle and head to the far northern edge of our property to start the tour. I hope you enjoy it. So here we are at the back edge of our property. This is as far north as our property extends. You can see behind me here we have some first year caneberries. I think these are mostly all raspberries, and we're irrigating them with just overhead irrigation. This is just what we call hand line. This is aluminum pipe that just linked together, and with sprinklers on them every 40 feet, and we'll irrigate them this way. When they become established, like the ones behind me here, we have drip irrigation that we'll run in the row. They'll be drip irrigated the rest of their life. They'll last probably about 15 years. Here in the Northwest, we suffer from root rot in raspberries. And so after about 15 years, we'll have a problem with root rot. The berries are root rot resistant, but that doesn't mean that they won't get it. And so they'll run for about 15 years, and then we'll have to take them out and replant with new berry plants. You can see just behind me here, excuse me, you can see we actually have some rows that we have taken out. What has happened here is we actually had a pest that we've been fighting for a number of years. And by the way, folks, sorry about the wind. There's nothing I can do about it. I didn't order this much wind today, but I guess this is what we get. Hey, so anyhow, we had a pest in our black diamond berries. That's a boysenberry, I do believe. And we knew that it was affecting our berries, so we planted a whole bunch of rows thinking that we would get a very low yield on it. And come to find out, we actually were able to take care of that pest. Our yield went back up. We realized that now we have twice as many rows as we needed, so we took those out. Next year we'll probably be planting something here, something different. It's just kind of funny. That's how farming is. You know, you plan for the worst, and sometimes you get the best, and sometimes you plan for the best and you get the worst. So this is a win for us, I guess. Around here behind me, you can see we got some bare ground. I don't know what this is going to be this year. Probably something like cucumbers or beans, green beans or something like that. We'll see. It'll probably end up being berries soon, but not this year. Probably here in the next couple of years we will plant this area with berries. So let's go ahead and let's go continue on around, and I'll show you some more property here. So here, the first thing I'd like to point out is we've got right behind me, there we've got a corner post, and what that does is designate our fields, okay, from the neighbor's field. You can see this field right behind me here. That belongs to someone else. So the green field you see in the distance, that's ours. The tilled ground you see up behind me here, that's ours. And then right here beside me, and I'll tilt down, you can see this is our ground here. And then there's another field just beyond us on the hill. That is a cover crop that we planted last fall. We are big believers in cover cropping. We will plant every acre we can as early as we can. Usually we're looking to get that cover crop in by the end of October so that we can get some good growth up. The way I like to describe it is we're looking for a nitrogen sponge. We're just trying to soak up as much nitrogen as we can. Next year we'll till it back into the ground. It'll release its nitrogen. The reason for that is here in the Northwest we get so much rain. If you've ever heard of the term leaching, is the rain will take the nitrogen and just push it down through the soil and just out of reach of the plants. So the key for us is to keep as much of that nitrogen in the top of that layer of soil as we can. Cover crops is a great way to do that. Want to point out right behind me here is a new field of strawberries. Let's get down there and take a look. Let's see if we can find some of these strawberry plants. So this field of strawberries was just planted a couple of days ago. And if we look really close, we might be able to find one or two, like this little guy right here. That's a brand new strawberry plant. You don't plant strawberries with seeds, or at least if you can, we sure don't. The way that we plant them is by transplanting crowns, which is just a little, let's just say a root ball. It's just a ball with roots. It's about 4 or 5 inches long, and you just take this mass of root material and run it through a machine that lays it down in the ground and plants it. Here's another one. I don't see any green growth on it, but you can see that it's planted in the ground. It'll probably start rooting here real soon. This is a field. There's another one. This field here, from the top of the hill all the way down to our drive-through road, it's about 3 acres. Now, every year we plant about 3 acres of strawberries. We will not harvest from this field at all this year. This is an establishment year. These plants will grow. We'll feed them nutrients. And our hope is to get a crop off. Actually, we don't hope. We will. We'll take a crop off them next year. Let's put it this way. We can talk about hoping to get a crop. We've never had a crop failure with strawberries. It's a pretty safe crop here in the Northwest. So, by the way, folks, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to do a whole lot of these videos in the coming weeks and months. As far as the tilled ground you see just beyond us, that was actually strawberries last year. The problem that we have with strawberries, they produce really well for about 4 years or 3 years. There's 1 year of establishment, 3 years that we pick on them, and after the 3rd year, they kind of start going downhill. We call it a senesce period. They just kind of peter out. They just don't produce like they did. Like all of us, we get old. We don't work as hard, and so we only run our strawberries about 3 years, and then we plow them under and plant more. We realize they probably could have produced really well in the 4th year, but you never know. And so for us, it's not worth the risk of expecting them to produce. It's just a safer move for us. So that used to be strawberries. We'll probably plant, I don't know, probably beans or cucumbers or sweet corn on it this year. I'll have to find out. But, we might do something with, specialized pumpkins or something like that. We'll find out. Okay, here we are in the middle of our production strawberry field. I want to say that this is a third year field, so we will be more than likely plowing these under at the end of this season. However, today, just so you guys know, today is May 10th, and we call these a June bearing berry. So we're probably going to be picking on these here in about 2 weeks time, maybe 3 weeks. You can see all the flowers that they have on them. Those beautiful little white flowers with a yellow center. Each one of those will become a strawberry. These are beautiful rows we have here. You can see how full they are. Each row is probably a full 24 inches wide, which is just amazing. Beautiful lush foliage we've got this year. We've had a great season for them so far. They don't really like the heat, but we've had, today we're in the low 80s, which is amazing, considering it's early May. And we should be getting a beautiful crop of strawberries off them this year. It's funny, we fight the weather really bad, only in the sense that strawberries don't really like a lot of heat, but they need heat to produce. So what's better, a cool, wet year or a warm, somewhat dry year? We do have irrigation here, so we can always add more water. But then other years, if it turns off real hot, we can be left mid-June with no berries because they just, burn up. Now, obviously, they're not going to catch on fire, but if they just get too hot, they'll just stop producing completely. Well, let's continue. So here we are in our blueberry field. We raise about 6 acres of blueberries. We've got about 5 different varieties out here, I believe. The reason for the different varieties is we're looking for a longer season. And not that any one variety has a long season, but by having 5 different varieties, we can have one that comes on at the end of June. We can have one that comes on mid-August, and we've got some that even will hold on to berries into September, and I want to say one year we even picked into October a little bit. So here we are. These are beautiful, lush blueberry plants. They're about 5 foot tall. Well, average. We spend an awful lot of labor every year, by the way, pruning them. We're looking for between 10 and 15 canes coming out of the bottom of each one of them. And one of the ways we keep them healthy is by constantly pruning out the old canes. Every year we'll go in and we'll go past every single plant. And the first rule is every plant, the oldest limb, which we call cane, the oldest cane gets pruned out, down to the ground. That plant will send up another young cane, and that'll, take its place. It might even send up 2 or 3, because it knows that first one got pruned off. But we're constantly wanting to keep young canes coming up. The old canes, they just don't produce. And the other thing is they're just so prone to disease. We fight disease here a lot. It has a lot to do with our wet climate and whatnot. And so every year we're looking to get the old canes out and make those new canes come in strong and hardy. You can see behind me here, we've got some ground that's been worked up. This used to be raspberries. And one of the things we fight, again, has to do with our wet climate. We have great climate for growing raspberries. The problem is they suffer from root rot. And the only way that we found around root rot is to breed it out. We have resistant varieties. And so we do everything we can to use those resistant varieties, but even still, they'll only last for about 15 years. And that was the field we had behind us. It was our first raspberry fields we ever planted here. They lasted for about 15 years, and they started going downhill. They started suffering from disease problems and whatnot. We finally just had to cut them off, plow them under. We're going to probably work this field with something else this year. And we may or may not go back with berries here some other time, but not right now. So here we are in our Caneberry Field. This is our, if you will, our original field. This is where we first started with caneberries. You can see that same piece of property right behind us that I was just talking about. It used to be raspberries. Behind me here is some Logans, Sylvans, and can't find my hand, boysenberries. And I think there's some marionberries in there too. Again, we're in the Northwest. We're known for berries. We've got some of the best berries around. Now, I must admit, they look the same to me. I can't tell the difference between them. Those ones there, they look a little bit more spindly. I think those are Sylvans, actually. These ones over here, I can just see a sign right next to me here. See that sign right there? That one there. Logan berries. I don't know. They look the same to me. The berries look a lot different once they get grown. But right now, they just kind of all look green. You can see every year we have to go through. Our crew has to go down every single row, gather all the canes, and tie them up on the wires. It is a painstaking job every year. I got to tell you, one of the things about farming, this kind of farming especially, wow, labor intensive. And the problem is when we're spending all the money for that labor, you got to remember, we pay, I don't know how to tell you this. We pay our guys. We pay them a paycheck every week. And that goes on all year long, including all the time we're not selling berries. That's tough. It's tough farming that way. We spend an awful lot on labor in the middle of winter when we're not making money. Sorry, don't mean to sound like a downer, but that's just one of the fun parts of farming, you know. You just got to keep that in the back of your mind. If you look behind me, you see two more fields here. Two more small fields. Those have been worked up as well. Those also were berries that we took out. If you guys remember that first place we stopped, up at our northern edge, when we started the tour here, that's where we are moving all of our fields to. These fields were some of the very first ones we planted. We planted these when we first started doing berries, 20 years ago. And they're starting to have some disease issues. Nothing terrible, but we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. So we're taking them out little by little, moving them up the hill, and hopefully we can avoid having major disease problems. Let's keep going. So I just wanted to point out that this is an early field of corn that we've planted. And if you look right down here, you can see a little tiny corn plant. We'll do this every couple of years. We had a window with some nice warm weather. There's a couple more in a row. We had a nice window of warm weather. We decided to stick some corn in the ground. Will it grow? Won't it grow? Maybe, maybe not. Here's the nice thing is we have plenty of ground. I'm not saying that corn seed is free, because it's not, but it's relatively cheap. We'll try to make an early window. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't work. if we have to. We can always come in later and plow it under and replant. So we'll see. It's looking okay. It's got a lot of weeds in it, as you can see. We'll see. We'll see if they come up and see what happens. Let's keep going. All right, folks, if the wind's bothering, I am very sorry. There's nothing I can do. It's pretty windy out today. We're getting a nice breeze out of the east. It is awful nice. It's about 80 degrees out today, which for early March is incredible. I don't know if we're going to break a record, but we're certainly pretty close to it. So right here, I had to stop here because this is the best view in the farm, or on the farm, I should say. If you guys look right over there, that's a pretty special place for us. My family's been here in Washington State since 1872. At least the Zimmerman family has. My grandmother's side, they've been here in Clark County since 1850. And that right there is a mountain that blew up May 18th of 1980. But that there's Mount St Helens. And from our back porch, you can see it. And you guys see just about there where that tree is. If that tree wasn't there, we could see Mount Hood, which is east of Portland, Oregon, or southeast of Portland, Oregon. We're actually, for those of you who don't know, we're kind of just a suburb of Portland. We are in another state, but just barely. We're only about 8 or 9 miles from Portland. It's crazy that, my family moved here and this was just scrub brush and trees everywhere. And now it is just wall-to-wall houses. It's amazing on YouTube, to watch all these. We've spent a lot of time on YouTube watching other farmers from the Midwest, and they can be in the middle of their property and not see a soul. And here we are. If you look, we are surrounded by houses. If I didn't say earlier, we're farming about 105 acres. We're farming about 105 acres right in the middle of suburbia, which is just amazing. Just a blessing that my great-great-grandparents came here and settled, in such a beautiful area. So you guys see this land behind me here. Let me switch hands. My arm's getting tired. This land right behind me here, this is going to be a pumpkin patch this year. Each year we'll raise, somewhere between 23 and 25 acres of pumpkins. And we're not talking pumpkins for a grocery store either. We'll have people come out and attend our pumpkin patch. We'll bring them right out into the field here. Bring them out these same trails that I've been driving with the Kubota here on a wagon. We'll tow the wagon with an antique tractor, which we really enjoy. It's just a fun reason to collect antique iron. And we'll bring them out here and they'll get to choose their pumpkin from thousands and thousands of pumpkins out here. We just really enjoy it. It's a great time to bring the community out, get them to experience some farm life, let them see what, the outdoors is really about. And then there's some fun stuff too. We get to watch, parents, go nuts because their kid has dirty hands and it might get in might get mud in their Acura or something like that. I don't know. Maybe their Tesla, I guess. Anyhow, out here on this side, this land here is probably going to be either beans or corn this year. When I say beans, it's not soybeans, although we are going to raise some edamame this year, which is kind of new. But more than likely green beans or snap beans. We'll grow probably about 7 or 8 acres of snap beans. And then I think we're approaching probably 9 or 10 acres every year of cucumbers. We have a huge Eastern European population here, and I did not realize how many pickles they eat, because they will come in and buy 100, 150, 200 pounds of cucumbers at a time for pickling. It's a huge business for us. So anyhow, here we are back to our strawberry field that we were talking about earlier. And over here, that's another strawberry field, okay? And then right there, that's our fir tree. We call it the Fir Tree. And anyone who's worked on the farm here, if you say, hey, go out to the Fir Tree and hang a right, they know what you're talking about. That tree there is the only tree in the middle of our field, and it's been hit by lightning, I think, 3 times now. Kind of neat. And we're not known for lightning storms here either. All right, let's keep going. So here we are. We're getting closer and closer to the barnyard. You can see it there in the background. We'll be there in a second. But you can see behind me, I've got about 6.5 acres of worked ground. This is going to be our corn maze this year. It kind of fluctuates between 6 acres and 7 acres. We'll call it 6.5. That's close enough. We love doing it. We love having a corn maze every year. It's awful fun. It's amazing to think we're going to plant 6 acres of silage corn. We use silage corn because it grows so tall and prolific. The reality is we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to cut trails through it and let people walk around. We really wish we had a use for it, after it was done. But the problem is in the Pacific Northwest, we're just so wet, we're cold. By the end of October, it's pretty well rotten. There's no feed value for it for the animals. The only thing we, at least for cattle or milk cows, anything like that, we do fence it and we turn our animals loose in it, and they'll forage on it all through the year. Especially if we have any hogs that year, it's great for them. They'll just enjoy themselves out there all year long. It helps us reduce our feed costs in the winter a little bit. But like I said, it's just amazing to think that we're gonna, as farmers, we're gonna raise a crop for entertainment value. That's really all it is. It's great. We love doing it. We really do. Behind us, you can see that we've got another field over there. Again, that's probably going to be pumpkins this year, I think. I'm not positive. As we come around this way, you can see we've got another field that lays in here. That's all cover crop, by the way. Let's go over here and take a look. We'll try not to trip walking down here. Okay. What we've got here, that's vetch. Vetch is a legume. It's related to alfalfa, peas. It's related to, beans. All of your lentils, all of your pulses, those are a legume. And we use that because they have a unique quality. They capture nitrogen out of the air. They're the only plant that I know of that does that, is legumes do that, is they'll actually capture nitrogen. So along with oats, that's what's planted here. Is, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I think it's 90% oats and 10% vetch, or something close to that. And the vetch, like I said, being a legume, it will capture nitrogen. So we're actually building nitrogen naturally in the soil. Again, we're known for great soil here. We really are. But the downside is we get so much rain that we're constantly fighting to continue to keep that healthy soil. Because that rain will just take that nitrogen and push it right down through the soil and push it right out of reach of all the plants. So anyhow, like I said, big believers in cover crops. So here we have behind me our cold crop field. This is a new planting of broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, lettuce, Brussels sprouts, you name it. We've got red cabbage. We've got funny looking varieties of broccoli. We've got yellow and purple cauliflower. It's kind of funny. A lot of people, they just love the novelty of some of this stuff. Of course, there's no change in taste. You know, yellow broccoli tastes just like white broccoli. But boy, quite a novelty. It's amazing what they come out with every year. You know. So here's cole crops. You notice they're raised just on the soil, and we will irrigate. There's an irrigation pipe laying behind me. Okay. But over here, if you look, there's red plastic. Those are raised, whoops, sorry, I'm wobbling the camera. Those are raised plastic beds. Those beds, well, let's walk down there. Let's walk down there and see what they look like. So here you can see we've got some raised plastic beds. Well, plastic covered. Trust me, they're not made out of plastic. So what these are is just beds that have been forced up with a machine. We cover them with the red plastic. And you can ask, why red? Well, these are going to be tomatoes. And I don't know how true it is. We honestly don't even know. They say that there's scientific proof that if you grow red tomatoes on red plastic, they produce a brighter, more vibrant red tomato. The funny thing is, you get started talking to the scientists about exactly why that is, and they said, well, we really can't tell you, which I find a little comical at times, but honestly, they don't know. We think it has to do with the color of light that they reflect back at the tomato, or the color of light that they absorb into the plastic and into the soil. We really don't know, but it seems to work, and we have good luck with it, so we continue to use red. Now, if you look just beyond the red plastic, you'll see we've got what used to be black plastic. Nowadays, we don't use black plastic. It's almost like an olive green, and kind of for the same reason. There's belief that the olive green works better for other plantings. Those are going to be mostly peppers and things like that. One of the things that really helps, peppers love heat, and so we use the plastic covered beds because they absorb heat better. And one of the things that we found is that the entire plant does not need to necessarily be hot. What you can do is warm the roots. And if the roots are warmer, the plant will do better. So the plastic covered beds actually invigorate the plants. They absorb more heat, and they make the plants grow much more vigorously all year round. If you figure this is that the ground is up, let's call it 5 degrees warmer than normal. So every day that it's if it's 60 degrees out, it's 65 degrees in that bed. And every day that's 80 degrees, it's 85 degrees in that bed. So we get great results out of it. By the way, we've got some more ground over here. I don't know what this will be. I guess we'll find out real soon. All right, so here we are in our greenhouse, or should I say our #1 greenhouse. This is our first greenhouse, the one we built back in I think about 2000 to start selling potted flowers. And you can see we've got quite a few here. Behind me here, we've got our grow benches. I'll show you our other greenhouses as well, but this is the only greenhouse that has benches in it for vegetable production. You can see here we've got, oh, by the way, I'm sweating a little bit. I think it's about 90, I think. Pretty humid. Anyhow, these are all transplants ready to either go out in the field, or we also sell transplants to our customers, and they'll buy them and take them home and grow their own garden too. It's just wonderful. I can't tell you how many transplants we sell every year, but it's a lot. It's an awful lot. And then of course our planted flower baskets. We do 12, 14, and 18-inch flower baskets. And we'll go through, let's say, a couple of thousand of them every year. You can see on the ground behind me, we got some plants and some transplants. What do we got? Oh, see that there? That's squash. And believe it or not, we actually sell corn plants as transplants. I don't know who's transplanting corn, but people buy it all the time. Let's look over here. This here's eggplant. What we got? Oh, leeks. Cauliflower. Sorry, I'm having to read the labels here. More leeks. Kohlrabi. Got all sorts of different plants here, I can tell. I think that's basil. And some peppers here. Oh, habaneros. I don't even want to go near those suckers. My wife thinks I'm a wimp, and I am. But I wanted to show you this here, guys. This is our special place. This is my wife's desk. It's a joke. It's not really her desk. This is our planting center. This is where we plant all of our starts here. You can see we've got a table full of soil. We'll fill our trays. Right here, you sit at the chair and you plant the trays with seeds. We can plant, there are 200 seeds to a tray, well, at least in these high density trays. And my wife can plant one in about a minute and a half. And then we've got another spot over here that we fill them with, top them off with soil. And then usually we'll have a cart sitting right here. We'll stack them on the cart, we'll water them, and then they'll go onto the grow benches. This here is a special bench. If you notice, you got to look right here. It's actually covered in, well, here, let me point the camera the right way. It's covered in sand and then a layer of plastic. And underneath the sand is water tubing that tracks through here. If you look right over here, we got a hot water heater. That one there. Hot water heater, a little pump on top. So what we've done is we've turned the temperature down on the hot water heater so it's about 85, maybe 90 degrees, and it just circulates water through this table, keeps that table at a nice warm radiant heat that just comes up through the bottom of those plants and makes them sprout. So this is a germination table. We only use it for germinating plants, and it is phenomenal. It works great. One of the problems we have, if we didn't have this table, we'd have a heck of a time bringing pepper plants, especially the hot ones. When you get into things like habaneros, Carolina Reapers, those scorpion peppers, they just will not germinate unless they are really, really hot. Okay, let's, well, helps if you get your thumb out of the picture. Let's go next door and take a look at the other greenhouses. We'll just take a look in. They're just plants hanging in them. All right. So here we have greenhouse number 2. Oh, you can see we do have some vegetables in there. Some transplants. You can tell those are in large packages, so those are meant for the store. A lot of times we'll bring them out of the other house because we keep the temperature lower in these houses. And so what we want to do is to harden them we'll bring the transplants into that second greenhouse with the doors open to get them used to being cooler at night. Here you can see we've pretty much sold all our baskets in this house. And there's Casey. Hi, Casey. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Spectacular. There's greenhouse number 4. So here we are back at our store, right alongside the road, and you can see all the beautiful flower baskets we have out for sales. Today happens to be Mother's Day weekend, by the way. It's a huge day for basket sales for us. I'm sure you were wondering why the greenhouses were so empty, and that's why. We'll sell, well, let's just say several hundred flower baskets this weekend. All of these buildings here, you can see behind us the big barn. This little building that we consider the concession stand, that used to be a granary. And then there's 3 of these brick buildings with the metal roof on them. I'll do a video on those some other day. There's a lot of history here of how this farm was built. It used to be a chicken farm. Yes, I hear you. Anyhow, we'll do a video someday about the history of some of these buildings and stuff, but it's really unique, you know, how this farm has changed. We, in fact, back in the mid-90s, we were a grain farm primarily. We farmed about 750 acres around the county, owned combines and big tractors and things like that. And now we raise 105 acres of direct market vegetables. And it's been a real hit for us. It's really helped us. And we really enjoy doing it. We really enjoy also being really connected with our community. You know, something that when we farmed commodity crops, you know, people, all they saw us was the slow guys driving down the road, you know, blocking traffic. And now we're the location that they take their kids to go to pumpkin patch. There's our petting zoo animals up on the hill. Whole bunch of goats. A bunch of baby goats this year we had in the spring, and we've got a llama and a heifer. It's a young cow, by the way, is a heifer, and a donkey, and the kids just love to come out and play with them. There's our pumpkin patch wagons. A bunch of structures we have, equipment, and the store again. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. If you got any questions at all, please just message me or make a comment. I'd love to do more videos. If you guys have a great idea for a video, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Really looking forward to having a video with my dad where we cover the history of the farm. And then also maybe a video about some funny, we always love funny stories. We love to laugh. So we've got some hilarious farm stories from his time growing up and our time farming together. We've got some good ones we love to share with you. So please like and subscribe. I hope to be putting these out on a regular basis. Thanks a lot, and you guys have a wonderful day.